Friends, this is Jenna for Sinful Celluloid, and I watched for you Return of the Living Dead 3. Not 1, not 2, 3. Also, I have my friend here, Grapefruit Vodka. You're welcome. We start off with this military guy. He's somebody's dad. This guy, Curtis. I'm going to end up calling him Fiver because he is a 5. His girlfriend's like a 9, and he's a 5, and he doesn't deserve her. So dad comes in. It's this military facility. They're making they have zombies. He's lost his security card. He's like, "Hey bros, you seen my security card?" And they're like, no, I haven't seen it. So he's the worst military personnel in the history of the planet, maybe? So we have Curtis, who's a 5, and his girlfriend Julie, who's a 9. She's super hot for whenever this movie was made. I mean, she's hot now, but she's super hot. And they sneak into Curtis's dad's military facility because, he's a high dude on the totem pole. So they take Curtis's motorcycle and they get past the worst security guard in the history of security guards. He's like, "Hey, your dad works here. Sweet, just go on in." Not a big deal. And they drive right through, break into the security facility because Curtis has stolen his dad's security ID. Because once again, I'll reiterate, Curtis's dad is the worst military person ever. So, hold on. They get in. Curtis's girlfriend Julie is super turned on by the fact that they are going to see secret shit. Because who wouldn't be? Secret shit is hot. And they kind of spy on what Curtis's dad is doing. Turns out, Curtis's dad is chaining dead dudes in fucking lederhosen to things so they can reanimate them with this gas called trioxin. I believe it's called trioxin. I'll have to check on that. And they hook up this dead person in these like bondage straps. I believe they were a burnt sienna color. They just hang that dude there. He's like, "Not a big deal. I'm just dead." Pump this gas into the room. Exposition. Hey, we thought these guys were dead and we couldn't get rid of them. Turns out we can pump these barrels full of trioxin into these places and reanimate these dead people. Probably nothing's gonna go wrong, right? So they reanimate this guy, right? Lederhosen bro. I'm just gonna call him Lederhosen zombie. And he wakes back up, and then they want to try this containment device, which is a frozen dart full of, I have no idea. It's blue, but it's going to freeze this zombie. They shoot it right into his forehead. He freezes. They think, "Hey, awesome, we're the kings of the universe. We've frozen a zombie, and now we can basically weaponize these zombies, send them into war zones, and have them kill our enemy, and then we'll freeze them and pack them up for later. Just like snacks. Just save those snacks for later." Turns out they're frozen. Containment doesn't work out quite the way they thought it would. Shocker. Meanwhile, by the way, there's been a military lady, who's been like, "I want to do exoskeleton stuff. We can contain the zombies doing exoskeleton things." And they're like, "Shut up, woman. We want to freeze them." And so she gets basically shoved off to the side. And the dudes take over, and of course their plan backfires in their faces. Lederhosen zombie chomps the shit out of one of the lab techs. They forget how zombies work, apparently, and lab tech turns into a zombie. He attacks people. It's a whole shit show, and everything's a disaster. Of course, girlfriend, Julie, I mean, she's horrified, but she's not really that horrified, you know what I'm saying? She's kind of turned on. Later, Hosen Zombie starts tap dancing when he gets that trioxin in his system, as one does. Dumb guy gets his hand bitten, because why would you stick your hand in a zombie's mouth unless you're a goddamn moron? Get what you deserve. So then Lady, I'm going to call her Ice Cold, okay? Ice Cold is like, I promised I'd call Washington. They're like, I need to call Washington. I need to tell him what's up. Ice Cold is like, stupid men. I'll call Washington and I'll tell them that you screwed everything up. Fiverr, and I'm going to call her Foxy Julie because Foxy Julie is foxy, like hardcore. They get home, they do it, obviously, as one does when you've just seen a zombie massacre. They decide to get caught when his dad comes home. Oh shit, we're having sex. Maybe my dad shouldn't see us. So she gets dressed real quick. Obviously, there's titties. He goes in. His dad's like, I need to talk to you about something really important. So he goes into his dad's office, and dad's like, hey, bro, we're leaving. FYI. I can't stay here. I got reassigned. We're going to Oklahoma City. And he's like, I'm not going. I'm 17 and I know everything about everything. So he decides to take off with Julie. Dad, of course, just kind of says, don't go. And dude takes off anyway. They get on the motorcycle. Julie's super turned on because Julie is super turned on by odd things. Julie grabs his crotch, Curtis's crotch, Fiverr's crotch, causes an accident, and gets thrown into a motherfucking telephone pole. She dies. Fiverr comes over and is like, no, Julie, no. Decides, hey, I just saw a zombie fucking murder people. I'm gonna go bring her to my dad's facility and reanimate her because I'm sure nothing will go wrong. So he puts her corpse on the back of his motorcycle and drives them past that same goddamn security guard who doesn't notice that she's dead. Drives right on by. Hey, oh yeah, I know you're dead. Sure, go right on. He gets this gas in her system. She reanimates, obviously. She's been dead. She's like, holy shit, what's wrong with me? He's like, yeah, I reanimated you. You were dead. NBD. Here's the thing. When dummy Fiverr decides to reanimate his girlfriend, he doesn't actually put the cap back on the tub full of zombie that he opened with the gas to reanimate her. So, of course, an effing zombie comes out to attack them, but don't worry. I mean, everything's fine. The zombie's face is just melted to his shoulder. So it's not, I mean, it's not horrifying or anything. Melted zombie attacks them. They're freaking out. She doesn't know what's wrong with her. He's like, everything's gonna be fine. Not a big deal. They manage to escape. But everything is not okay in Fivertown. Julie gets on the back of the bike. She's like, bro, I need some food. She gets hangry. Hangry. Hungry, angry. She's like, give me some fucking food. He's like, we can't be anywhere people can see us. So let's go to a bodega where there's like 10 people. So they go to a bodega. Of course, there's like 5 people there playing video games. And they get in bad with the bodega people. There's Fedora. There's a dude, Fedora. He's wearing a fedora, which is not... No. Okay? A hot girlfriend. He's got a hot girlfriend who's, again, way out of his league, as is with these movies, okay? Pretty girls, average guys, whatever. The bodega owner knows shit's going down. He gets his gun. He's like, get the hell out of my store, all of you. Meanwhile, zombie girl stuffing her face with tasty cakes, hostess stuff, which I get. If anyone's gonna touch my snacks, I'm gonna effing kill them. Here's the thing. As the bodega group is leaving, Julie bites one of them. So you know this guy's effed, right? He's effed. In the melee, okay, bodega owner gets shot. Our guy, Fiverr, Foxy Julie, they take off in a van. Bodega owner comes out and is like, give me a ride to the hospital, you bastards! So he gets in the van. Then the cops show up and he's like, I'll get out of the van. I'll go with them. It's not a big deal. Just let me get out of the van. And Fiverr's like, F you, gas pedal. He takes off. He's got crazy bodega owner in the back, gut shot, dying. They're driving along the strip. He opens the back door. He gets shot in the effing face. In the face. So he's dead. Obviously, Julie's starving, and it's not for tasty cakes. It's not for hostess. It's for brains. She gets back there. She starts eating bodega owner. Okay? As one does when you're a zombie. Dude pulls off into an alley. Comes back, Julie, what are you doing, Foxy Julie? And Julie's like, I just want to eat some effing brains, man. Can you leave me alone? And he's like, no, we gotta get out of here. We gotta get out of here. Of course, now she's turned bodega owner into a zombie. They take off, right? So then cops show up. One is like dad glasses, and the other one is porn stash, okay? They both show up. They got their guns drawn. Zombie bodega owner comes out, attacks the shit out of them. The decontamination unit shows up, the military, because they're always like 3 steps behind in this movie. I have no idea why. Porn stash dies. Dad glasses survives, but they're irrelevant really in the entire frame of the story. Foxy, Julie, and Fiverr disappear into the sewers. They're going to escape. I guess they're planning to go to Seattle because Julie has discovered that if she causes herself pain, she won't be so hungry. She doesn't want to hurt her boyfriend. So she's gonna kind of go Hellraiser a little bit on herself. She finds a spring in the dirt, starts like piercing her skin here, okay? She starts putting the spring in there, it starts bleeding. She's like, when I'm in pain, I'm not so hungry. And I admire that, but really just eat your boyfriend's brains. It's not that big of a deal. So this is when Fiverr and our friend Foxy Julie decide to have a domestic disturbance. So she's threatening to throw herself off a bridge. She's run away. He's like, you ate brains, bitch. And she's like, screw you, I want some brains. She's like, I'm a monster. Let me go. I got a little vodka on my computer. She throws herself off a bridge into, let's call it the LA River. I don't know. It's like, there's like this much water and then concrete. So bitch is gonna have her face. It should not be good. This random dude comes out of the shadows and is like watching everything that happened. Fiverr. It's like, Julie, where did you go? And this dude's watching him. I'm going to call him Wellies because he ends up wearing these rain boots. And he follows Fiverr as he searches for Julie, who just threw herself 6 stories off a bridge into an inch of water and is, quite frankly, quite dead. Meanwhile, as Fiverr's looking for Julie, his voice keeps going up octave. He's like, Julie, Julie, Jenny! That's how you know he's really upset. Fiverr finds Julie dead on the side of the river. He brings her back to life because obviously he's got her tyroxined. So they all run into the sewers. Welly's like, I got a place for you to hide. So he brings Fiverr and Julie to his pump room / apartment that's nicer than mine that I live in right now. Okay. So they go into the pump room and they have a little bit of a heart to heart. Julie's freaking out. She's starving and she's like self harming in an attempt to not eat her boyfriend's brains. And Wellies is like, what's your deal? What's going on with this chick? And Fiverr's like, we're going to Seattle. I'm going to be a drummer in a band. And she's just going to hang out in the crowd and be like my groupie. And Wellies is like, sure, whatever you say, bro. And Fiverr's like, listen, I can't thank you enough for like taking us in. What's your name? And he gives him a coin. And he's like, take this, pay it forward. Like, I got this coin at Mardi Gras, and as long as you pay it forward to someone else, I'll know that good is going to be done as long as it's passed along. And Fiverr's like, hey, sounds great. So Julie decides to break up with her boyfriend. She's like, I can't do this anymore. I just want to eat some brains. She's like, man, I'm fucking starving. Can you just give me some fucking brains? And he's like, I don't know what to do with this. So she starts to cut herself again, and this whole movie is basically like one big trigger warning. And then she apologizes because that's what happens in these movies because there hasn't been quite enough sex yet. She's like, hey, baby, I'm so sorry. Let me just take off my clothes. You're like, Fiverr, are you a necrophiliac? Because your girlfriend's dead and you still want a boner. There's like a montage where Foxy Julie decides that to contain her urges, I guess you should say, she needs to cause herself pain. She goes full on Hellraiser. And I mean that in the Hellraiseriest sense of the word. Bits of glass and plastic and metal and starts piercing herself and cutting herself. And it's disgusting. She starts slicing her legs and you're like, bitch, you're ruining a perfectly good pair of fishnet stockings. Can you just not? And but before she threads like a chain through her throat. You're like, where did this come from? All the other zombies can just eat brains. Why do you need to self-mutilate? She kind of disappears after that. So the bodega group shows up in the sewer. They confront Wellies, who's fallen asleep on the job. He was supposed to be watching out, and he doesn't. What the hell? They shove his face in the sewer water, which is completely unnecessary. It's just disgusting. Fiverr comes out to try to defend him, and he's swinging a pipe, and Fedora takes him on. They beat the crap out of each other. He knocks him into the dirt, because Fiverr's not going to save anybody, and he's a completely useless bastard. Julie comes out. She's this completely transformed, like, human embodiment of pain. She's pierced herself. She's got things in her lips. She's got glass coming out of her forehead. Like, it's very unpleasant to look at as somebody who's, I'm a delicate soul. She stabs the shit out of one of the bodega dudes, like kisses him, but rips his lip off. It's gross. There's a pretty girl, the Fedora's girlfriend. She tries to get away. She's climbing, right? No, she gets like these talent. Julie comes in and her leg. She just tears into her leg. Everyone dies. That's what it comes down to. Everyone gets screwed the F up, okay? Then Fedora is like, hey, Foxy Julie, you look like somebody I could party with. And it's like, you gonna get what's coming to you. And he disappears into this, and you're like, you know Julie's gonna tear him apart. You know she is. Fiverr's sitting there like a little bitch, and he doesn't do anything. Julie comes back out with Fedora, but she's torn his head from his body, and his spinal column has been pulled halfway out of his body. So he's like a giraffe. He's like, caw, right? He's got like a head up here and then giraffe and then body. And she's like, screw you, buddy. I wasn't going to do anything with you. I just wanted to tear your head off your neck. Basically, everyone that was in the bodega becomes a zombie. And the military shows up because they've been 5 steps behind every single time. I'm out of vodka. I'm going to have to go get some more. Wellies kind of sacrifices himself. He's been the voice of reason this whole time, even though he's supposed to be the crazy person. And now everyone that was in the bodega is a zombie, including Giraffe. Spinal column dude. He gets his head knocked off with a pipe or a baseball bat. Maybe it was a baseball bat. Either way, not looking good for spinal column guy. Welly sacrifices himself. He says, hey, listen, I'm going to take Julie. I'm going to go. You stay, you fight off the guys. We'll get her to safety. Not a big deal. I can handle it. God help us. This is my face. Bodega zombies get through the wall that Fiverr and Wellies have put up. Of course, it's not going to keep them away because they're zombies, and that's the scary thing about zombies is they never stop coming. Fiverr retreats. Turns out, Julie's eating Welly's brains. Yep, she killed Wellies, and old Wellies is just a zombie buffet. And he's like, what are you doing, Julie? Because he's a moron. The military shows up. They're going to try to contain the zombies with their freeze guns. And Deus Ex Machina, they save Fiverr just as he's about to be eaten. And he kind of collapses and has an emotional breakdown and basically curls into the fetal position because that's all Fiverr's been good for. This entire time, he's been a complete wiener. His 90s hair is extra swoopy. His dad warns him away from his zombie girlfriend, which he hasn't ever admitted is truly a zombie. And you're like, listen to your asshole dad, because dad actually knows what he's talking about right now. They shoot her full of freeze bullets as they threaten to all along, and Fiverr kind of goes into the fetal position, just kind of, I can't handle it, guys, it's too much. Cut to black. Bring scene up. Dad's talking to Fiverr. He says, listen, we're still going to go to Oklahoma City, but before we go, let's spend some time. Hey, let me just bring you back to the facility where all that bad shit went down. They see everyone they've encountered behind in these very extreme cages, nudie, with the harnesses like we saw in the very beginning with Lederhosen zombie. They're going to become weaponized military instruments of military force, and they've got wellies in there, and our girl, the ice cold biatch, has decided she's taken over, and she's fitting the zombies with exoskeletons. Wellies is the first victim. He gets a metal kind of catcher's cage put on his face. He's got metal extremities, and she's drilling into his head when things go awry, as they do. He gets free. He shoves her out of the way. He gets blown to bits. He's basically turned into hamburger. Fiverr sees Julie. She's in one of these cages. She's got a mouthpiece on. She's basically just in straps, so her boobies are all out. Wellies gets free, and in a very kind of Chekhov's gun, I'm going to bring back what I showed you before, he gives Welly the Mardi Gras coin that Welly gave him earlier in the film and says, please get us out of here. We can't survive. Like, please help us. He lets them free, you know, for better or worse. And they get out, and Welly kind of sacrifices himself. Fiver gets bitten. You knew that was going to happen. These two are like Romeo and Juliet of the zombie world. And they step into a biocontainment unit and let the flames engulf them as they make out. And it's supposed to be this tragic kind of love story where he couldn't live without her and she couldn't live without him, even though she was already dead. Commence tears. That's really the end. It was ridiculous and hilarious and not scary for 1 second. It was a little bit gory, a little bit, I feel like Hellraiser-y with the nails through the forearm and the glass coming out of the forehead of Julie, and Fiver was a completely useless D-bag the entire time. I had my grapefruit vodka, and I had an open mind, and I embraced the ridiculousness. So I hope you guys enjoyed my first video review, and hopefully you found it entertaining, and hopefully you'll leave comments and like it, and follow me on Twitter or Instagram. I am always at AceJenna, so find me there, and I will see you guys again next week. All right, cool.